Hi everybody, my name is Tim Schaedel. Really grateful and blessed to be reading for you today. Today we're reading Jeremiah 27 through 30. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, this word came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, Yahweh says to me, make bonds and bars, and put them on your neck. Then send them to the king of Edom, to the king of Moab, to the king of the children of Ammon, to the king of the Tyre, to the king of Sidon, by the hand of the messengers who came to Jerusalem, Zedekiah king of Judah. Give them a command to their masters, saying, Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, you shall tell your masters, I have made the earth, the men, the animals, on the surface of the earth, by my great power and by my outstretched arm. I give it to whom sees it, right to me. Now I have given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant. I have also given the animals of the field to serve him. All the nations will serve him, his son and his son's son, until the time of his own land comes. Then many nations and great kings will make him their bondservant. It will happen that I punish the nation and the kingdom, which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and that will not put on their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, says Yahweh, with the sword of famine and the pestilence, until I consume them by his hands. But as for you, don't listen to your prophets, to your diviners, to your dreams, to your soothsayers, to your sorcerers, who speak to you, saying, you shall not serve the king of Babylon, for they prophesy and lie to you, to remove you far from your land, so that I will drive you out, and you would perish. But the nation that brings their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon and serves him, that nation I will let remain on their own land, says Yahweh, and they will till it and dwell in it. I spoke to Zedekiah, king of Judah, according to these words, saying, bring your necks under the yoke of the king of Babylon, and serve him and his people, and live. Why will you die, you and your people, by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence, as Yahweh has spoken concerning the nation that will not serve the king of Babylon? Don't listen to the words of the prophets who speak to you, saying, you shall not serve the king of Babylon, for they prophesy and lie to you. For I have not sent them, says Yahweh, but they prophesy falsely in my name, that I may drive you out, and that you may perish, you and the prophets who prophesy to you. I also speak to the priests and to all this people, saying, Yahweh says, don't listen to the words of your prophets who prophesy to you, saying, behold, the vessels of Yahweh's house will now shortly be brought again for Babylon, for they prophesy and lie to you. Don't listen to them. Serve the king of Babylon and live. Why should this city become a desolation? But if they are prophets and Yahweh's word is with them, let them now make an intercession to Yahweh of armies, and that the vessels that are left in Yahweh's house and in the house of the king of Judah and at Jerusalem don't go to Babylon. For Yahweh of armies says to concerning the pillars, concerning the sea, concerning the bases, and concerning the rest of the vessels that are left in the city, which Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon didn't take when he carried away captive Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, from Jerusalem to Babylon, and the nobles of Judah and Jerusalem. Yes, Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says concerning the vessels that are left in Yahweh's house, and in the house of the king of Judah and at Jerusalem, they will be carried to Babylon, and there they will be until the day that I visit them, says Yahweh. I will bring them up and restore them to this place. That same year, 28. That same year, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, in the 4th year and 5th month, Hananiah, son of Azur, the prophet, who was of Gibeon, spoke to me in Yahweh's house, in the presence of priests and of the people, saying, Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says, I have broken the yoke of the king of Babylon. Within 2 full years I will bring again into this place all the vessels of Yahweh's house that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, took away from this place and carried to Babylon. I will bring again to this place Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, with all the captives of Judah, who went to Babylon, says Yahweh. for I will break the yoke of the king of Babylon. Then the prophet Jeremiah said to the prophet Hananiah, in the presence of the priests and in the presence of all the people who stood in Yahweh's house, even the prophet Jeremiah said, Amen. May Yahweh do so. May Yahweh perform your words, which you have prophesied, to bring the vessels of Yahweh's house and all who are captives from Babylon to this place. Nevertheless, listen now to this word that I speak in your ears, and in the ears of all the people. The prophets who have been before me and before you of old prophesied against many countries and against great kingdoms of war, of evil, and of pestilence. As for the prophet who prophesies of peace, when the word of the prophet happens, then the prophet will be known that Yahweh truly sent him. Then Hananiah the prophet took the bar from off the prophet Jeremiah's neck and broke it. Hananiah spoke in the presence of all the people, saying, Yahweh says, Even so I will break the yoke of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, from off the neck of all nations within 2 years. Then the prophet Jeremiah went his way. Then Yahweh's word came to Jeremiah, after Hananiah the prophet had broken the bar off of the neck of the prophet Jeremiah, saying, Go and tell Hananiah, saying, Yahweh says, You have broken the bars of wood, but you have made in their place bars of iron. For Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says, I have put a yoke of iron on the neck of all these nations that may serve Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and they will serve him. I also have given the animals of the field. Then the prophet Jeremiah said to Hananiah the prophet, Listen, Hananiah, Yahweh has not sent you, but you make this people trust in a lie. Therefore, Yahweh says, Behold, I will send you away from off the surface of the earth. This year you will die, because you have spoken rebellion against Yahweh. So Hananiah the prophet died the same year, in the 7th month. Now these are the words of the letter that Jeremiah the prophet sent from Jerusalem to the residue of the elders of the captivity, and to the priests, to the prophets, and to all the people whom Nebuchadnezzar carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon. After Jeconiah the king, the queen mother, the eunuchs, the priests of Judah and Jerusalem, by the hand of Elisah, the son of Shaphan, and Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, it said, Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel says, to all the captives whom I have caused to be carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon, build houses and dwell in them, plant gardens and eat their fruit. Take wives and father sons and daughters. Take wives for your sons and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters. Multiply there, and don't be diminished. Seek the peace of the city where I have caused you to be carried away captive, and pray to Yahweh for it. For in its peace you will have peace. For Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says, Don't let your prophets who are among you and your diviners deceive you. Don't listen to your dreams, which cause you to be dreamed, for they prophesy falsely to you in my name. I have not sent them, says Yahweh. For Yahweh says, After 70 years are accomplished for Babylon, I will visit you and perform my good word towards you, in causing you to return to this place. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, says Yahweh. Thoughts of peace and not of evil, give you hope and a future. You shall call on me, and you shall go and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You shall seek me and find me when you search for me with all of your heart. I will be found by you, says Yahweh, and I will turn again your captivity. And I will gather you from all the nations and from all the places where I have driven you, says Yahweh. I will bring you again to the place from where I caused you to be carried away captive. Because you have said, Yahweh has raised us up prophets in Babylon, Yahweh says, concerned the king who sits on David's throne, and concerning all the people who dwell in the city, your brothers who haven't gone with you into captivity, Yahweh of armies says, Behold, I will send on them the sword, the famine, and the pestilence, which will make them like rotten figs that can't be eaten, they are so bad. I will pursue after them with the sword, with the famine, with the pestilence, and will deliver them to be tossed back and forth among all the kingdoms of the earth, to be an object of horror and astonishment, a hissing and a reproach among all the nations where I have driven them, because they have not listened to my words, says Yahweh, with which I sent to them my servants, the prophets, rising up early and sending them. But you would not hear, says Yahweh. Hear, therefore, Yahweh's word, all you captives, whom I have sent all the way from Jerusalem to Babylon. Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says concerning Ahab, the son of Kolaniah, and concerning Zedekiah, the son of Messiah, who prophesied a lie to you in my name. Behold, I will deliver them to the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and he will kill them before your eyes. A curse will be taken up about them by all the captives of Judah who are in Babylon, saying, Yahweh made you like Zedekiah and like Ahab, whom the king of Babylon roasted in the fire, because they have done foolish things in Israel, and have committed adultery with their neighbors' wives, and have spoken words in my name falsely, which I didn't command them. I am he who knows, and am witness, says Yahweh. Concerning Shemaiah and Nehelamite, you shall speak, saying, Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says, because you have sent letters in your own name, to all the people who are at Jerusalem, and to Zephaniah, the son of Messiah, the priest, to all the priests, saying, Yahweh has made you priest in place of Jehoiada, the priest, that there may be officers in Yahweh's house for every man who is crazy and makes himself a prophet, that you should put him in the stocks and in shackles. Now, therefore, why have you not rebuked Jeremiah of Anathoth, who makes himself a prophet to you? Because he has sent us in Babylon, saying, the captivity is long, build houses and dwell in them, plant gardens and eat their fruit. Zephaniah the priest read this letter in the hearing of Jeremiah the prophet. Then Yahweh's word came to Jeremiah, saying, send to all the captives, saying, Yahweh says concerning Shemaiah and Nehelamite, because Shemaiah has prophesied to you, and I didn't send him, and he has caused you to trust in a lie. Therefore, Yahweh says, behold, I will punish Shemaiah and Nehelamite and his offspring. He will not have a man to dwell among this people. He won't see the good that I do to my people, says Yahweh, because he has spoken rebellion against Yahweh. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, Yahweh, the God of Israel, says, write all the words that I have spoken to you in a book. For behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will reverse the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, says Yahweh. I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers and possess it. These are the words that Yahweh spoke concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For Yahweh says, we have heard the voice trembling, a voice of fear, not of peace. Ask now and see whether a man travails with child. Why do I see every man with his hands on his waist, as a woman in travail, and all the faces are turned pale? Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he will be saved out of it. It will come to pass in that day, says Yahweh of armies, that I will break his yoke off your neck. I will burst your bonds. Strangers will no more make them their bondservants, but they will serve Yahweh their God and David their king, whom I will raise up to them. Therefore, don't be afraid, O Jacob, my servant, says Yahweh. Don't be dismayed, Israel. For behold, I will save you from afar, and save your offspring from the land of their captivity. Jacob will return, and be quiet and at ease. No one will make him afraid. For I am with you, says Yahweh, to save you. For I will make a full end to all the nations where I have scattered you. But I will not make full end to you. I will correct you in a measure, and will in no way leave you unpunished. For Yahweh says, your heart is incurable. Your wound is grievous. There is no one to plead your cause, that you may be bound up, that you have no healing medicines. All your lovers have forgotten you. They don't seek you. For I have wounded you with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one. Chastisement of a cruel one. For the greatness of your inequality, because your sins were increased. Why do you cry over injury? Your pain is incurable. For the greatness of your iniquity, because your sins have increased, I have done these things to you. Therefore, those who devour you will be devoured. All your adversaries, every one of them, will go into captivity. Those who you plunder will be plundered. I will make all who prey on you become prey. I will restore health to you and will heal your wounds, says Yahweh. Because they have called you an outcast, saying, It is Zion, whom no man seeks after, Yahweh says. Behold, I will reverse the captivity of Jacob's tents and have compassion on his dwelling places. The city will be built on its own hill, and the palace will be inhabited in its own place. Thanksgiving will proceed out of them with the voice of those who make merry. I will multiply them, and they will not be few. I will also glorify them, and they will not be small. Their children will be as before, and their congregation will be established before me. I will punish all who oppress them. Their prince will be one of them, and their ruler will proceed among them. I will cause him to draw near, and he will approach me. For he is who had boldness to approach me, says Yahweh. You shall be my people, and I will be your God. Behold, Yahweh's storm, his wrath, has gone out, a sweeping storm. It will burst on the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of Yahweh will not return until he has accomplished, and until he has performed the intentions of his heart. In the later days, you will understand it. I hope that you do. Thank you so much for listening in today. I hope this reading finds you well. Take care.
Hi, friend, and welcome to Fear into Faith Global Bible Revival, where we're on a mission to get 1 million people to read the Bible cover to cover in a year. I'm your host, Summer Day, and with me in the studio are Tim and Jamie. Woo!
Hello.
I got that one right.
Yes, you did.
It was one of the easiest ones I've done so far, if I'm being honest, but I got it right. Y'all are amazing.
Cool.
So happy to be here.
Thanks for having me.
So excited.
Okay, tell the audience just a little bit about who you are, where you're from.
Sure. Jamie and I are both originally from Buffalo, New York. So if anybody's familiar with Toronto,
Wait,
Canada.
you guys know each other?
Yeah, a little bit. We just met on the way in here, actually. Believe it or not.
Come on.
Yeah.
Jesus blind dance.
We really hit it off. Hey,
Hey, you know what? You might be prophesying something that might happen on the show later. Some people, I don't know.
Could be. Never knows. So we're originally from Buffalo, New York, and the last 2 years we picked up and moved to Sarasota, Florida.
It's
So
beautiful
sun,
there.
fun, lots of these, palm trees,
Come on.
nice stuff. Yeah. We're about 20 minutes from the coast. We're at the beach frequently, so
Oh,
it's great. It's great. We got
we're married.
Yep, we're married.
Well, you-
Together 9 years.
9 years.
Yep.
But married 2 years.
Married 2.
And we have
Yep.
a little sweet 4-year-old girl named Charlie.
Sure.
And our newest addition,
Oh, yes.
Vinny.
I've seen Vinny.
Yes.
Vinny is a super cute little love.
Yeah. Italian Greyhound.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
I was like, I could not tell you what kind of dog it is, other than it's so cute and squishy.
Yes.
That's right.
Maybe on the last segment, we're going to have to bring Vinny in. You have to be a star of the show.
Well,
I love it. You guys are so awesome. So you came all the way from Sarasota to be a part of this. And so
Yep.
we're just really,
yeah,
really
we found out, I don't even know if it's been a week since we found out about this, but we were super pumped to meet everybody and be a part of it. And I booked the flight, and now here we are. So
I am just stunned. I have to be honest with you guys. When God was like giving us idea, I never really thought people would jump on a plane and come here, and I didn't think they would do it if within a week. And I thought if they didn't know me, there's no way they would do it. So the Lord is always just blowing my mind on the people that are showing up. All right. So the first question I love asking people: you both recorded your Bible readings today. How did that go, Tim?
for me, I right before I went to the restroom to relieve myself, make sure, take one last look in the mirror, and I said, listen, this is in God's hands. Yeah. I just totally have to remove myself from any real participation other than just showing up, getting in the chair, picking up the book, and starting to read. And what I found is that I was nervous in the beginning, but it melted away, right? And it seems to do that for me. when I just turn things over like that.
I love it. You did a great job. You did a great job. I know you have a little bit of story with your reading.
Yeah.
So when I found out what it was reading, I read his and was like, I'm not doing this one. I need yours. I'm taking your reading. And he was like, oh, really? Thanks. And I'm like, I don't care. There's too many names. I studied all the names in my reading. And then all of a sudden, you're like, well, we changed your reading. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah, because you went after him, and he had read all of your ones you were going to read.
But it was, he read all your readings, and then you're like, now what? But God gave me literally the easiest reading on all three. So, thank you.
Yay!
Yes.
Yeah, I was a little nervous because I'm like, I don't know Jamie, but we gave her all the readings, and then now she's not going to do it.
Yeah, I know. I was not excited or happy about that, but I was going to show up and knew that God would speak through me no matter what. And if I stumbled on my words, like, who cares, because I'm human. So
That's right.
Thank you for reading. And honestly, like, that's what we want. We want people that are just real people. If they stumble over their words, then maybe people are like, oh, I don't have to be perfect to read the Bible.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yep.
So good. Well, we also like talking to people just about their just kind of journey, their journey with God. We've had people that were born and raised in the church. We've had people that were not. We've had people that even only came to know God super recently that have been on the show. So I'd love to just tap into a little bit of just that for you. I know you and I got to talk about your story, which is amazing. Maybe you could share just a little bit first. And you go first.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. So I was born and raised Catholic, participated in a church local up in Buffalo, baptized, confirmed, everything in between. As the years went on, I think that, I found myself, like I've heard other people describe and stuff, you sort of get distracted, right? Like life happens. And, I think that what I tend to attribute it to is I try to control the situation myself, right? Like I don't allow something else to come in and offer guidance, right? I'm not listening. And so, I spent a lot of years in a world where I was trying to run the show, right? And I was trying to manage myself and everybody else around me, right? Myself being, both my spiritual self and physical self, trying to, take anything that was in front of me to feel a certain way, whatever. I reached out and tried to just grab anything tangible that would fix whatever I had going on inside of me. And this is actually how we met is we both got involved in some service work for other people who struggled similar to us, with substances and whatnot. And that's really the first introduction to finding a place where I could communicate with something again, right? Where I could show up and have a purpose and feel connected to something other than like my will, right? Like what I want for myself. Like I want new clothes and I want a new car and I want all this stuff, right? But it's like, I really had to take a look through my actions and just through life experience and say, this is not working for me, right? And me running the show is not working for me. And I needed an intervention, from something, right? Something bigger than myself. I needed something bad. So and let me tell you this, it happened. Wow. And that was almost a decade ago.
Wow.
So, we've been doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Well, I know you have an incredible story, so whatever part, however you want to share about all that.
Yeah. Okay, so I grew up in a trailer park, alcoholic mom, only child. Very lonely childhood, very lonely, eventually turned into self-sabotaging behaviors and turning to drugs, trying to find myself and it was just in so much pain. And so I didn't grow up with religion, with God. I had none of that. And so it wasn't something where I was like, are you real? Are you not? It was just like, this is my life and it's horrible. I was living in hell. And eventually, I was 26 years old on the streets using drugs, and I got arrested, 3C felonies, and I went to jail. And it was there for the first time on my own that I prayed to God, and I said, God, if you're there, help me to want to stop using drugs, because I didn't, because my body wanted it and craved it. Yeah. My flesh did, right? But my soul wanted something different. And so that was my soul, right? And that was my first introduction, and it was God who told me to write, "You can do it" on the wall. And I remember doing it in like this pencil, because they only gave you pencils.
Did you get in trouble? Were you allowed to
Oh,
write
for
on the
sure.
prison
They were
wall?
like, "You're not, you're not allowed to do that." And I was just like, And so I wrote, "You can do it" on the wall in big capital letters, and I read it every day. And I thought if I read it, I would actually believe it. And so I was looking at 7 years in prison. And, that person who was wronged against because of drug addiction did not show up to court, and I was released.
Wow.
Yep. And I got my life together.
How often does that happen?
I don't
The
think
person just
often.
doesn't
No,
show
I don't
up.
think that's like a thing. You know what I mean? Normally
I
people
wouldn't
show up
recommend
to
anybody
court.
try and end up in that situation.
Yeah, don't try.
We shouldn't test to find out. But it's not something that like I first had knowledge of, and I'm thinking if you've wronged someone, they're probably most likely to show up. Okay, we're gonna take a break really quick. We're gonna take a commercial break. We'll be right back right after this. And then that's amazing.
Are you traveling long-term internationally? Moving to another country? How's your furry family member going to get there? You won't be able to just buy them a plane ticket. There's a whole series of processes and red tape that no one wants to sift through. You need a partner. You need Doggone Taxi. We take the confusion and headache out of moving your pet to your new country. We take care of the shipping, the fees, the health permits, and anything else that your destination country requires. Visit doggonetaxi.com and get your free move quote today. That's doggonetaxi.com.
All right, we are back with Tim and Jamie, and we were talking about how you. Okay, I don't know what the difference between prison and jail is. Which one were you at?
Oh, I went to jail. Prison's like long term.
Okay, so you went to jail, and that's when you had an experience with God, and He told you to write, "You can do it" on the wall. So awesome. And then kind of what was next?
Yeah, so I got out, and this was my chance. This was my shot. I knew it. I had an abusive boyfriend who was also just getting out of jail, which I would later send on to prison for 10 more years because, he was somebody who shouldn't be in society, and I was afraid for my life anyways. But so this is my shot, and I knew it. And so I started doing so many things. I started running and taking care of my health, and I joined a program, for people like me. And this is where I found God. That was an introduction, but this is where I found God. And we would go through a step process. So there's 12 steps. And on my third step, I've had so many spiritual white light experiences going through the steps. But my first time, I was told to go hit my knees and say this prayer out loud. And I was going to read this, and I was going to read my own prayer that I wrote myself. And I did it. And I just surrendered. I had just been in so much pain and trying to control my life, and it got me nowhere except just in terrible situations. And I pushed away the thought of God and religion my entire life. It felt uncomfortable to me. I was very uncomfortable. And I said that prayer, and I meditated after. But when I had a white light experience, my body felt different. I was different. I was no longer that person after I had begun praying and just said, take my will, take my life, guide me, right?
I remember when I asked you earlier about what you meant, because I was like, what do you mean with a white light experience? You're explaining it as go explain. What did you say?
Yeah, I felt white light go through my entire body, and it didn't leave. Wow. I felt lighter. If you could imagine being full of light.
Yeah. Wow. It was permeated
I'm
from
different.
head to toe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that was how long ago?
10 years ago.
Wow. And just it's almost like just being washed white as snow.
Yeah.
And just in that moment.
Start over. You can start over. Yeah.
So fabulous. You hear about a lot of people that struggle with drug addiction and different stuff like that, and they don't always get that moment. They don't always have that thing where they get hit, where everything's filled with that white light. I just think that's amazing. And I love, too, that you haven't thrown that away, right? You've seized that, and it's been a critical part of just sort of
You can check out the rest of this interview right here or by going to BibleRevival.tv. And if this show has blessed you, you can help us bless others by partnering with us for as little as $20 a month and help us to expand the reach of this show. We'd also like to invite you to join our Kingdom Discipleship Program, where you have an opportunity to get on weekly Bible Zoom calls with us and people around the world to deep dive into His Word. And you can check all that out at BibleRevival.tv. I'll see you next time, my friend.